Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers as well as coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Tamaya! Hello everyone, and welcome to the Our Anime Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about an anime I may or may not have mentioned before, and that is Tamako Market and also its sequel film, Tamako Love Story. And today's episode is brought to you by our good friends and partners at Sentai Filmworks and HIDIVE. Sentai Filmworks has so graciously given us a couple of extra pairs of their Tamako Market Blu-rays, as well as Tamako Love Story Blu-rays. So we'll be announcing two winners for that. We'll talk about the giveaway details in the description and at the end, further along in the podcast. And HIDIVE is also helping you out in getting to watch this amazing series and movie. If you use the code TAP2019 548-3348, and that'll be down in the description and in the link and everything. If you use that code, you will get half off your first month of HIDIVE, then that's $2.49 for the first full month. And yeah, and so you'd be able to watch stuff like Tamako Market, Tamako Love Story, Domestic Girlfriend, completely different shows, but you know, whatever you floats your boat. And I am Steel Taylor. I am one of the hosts of the Our Anime Podcast, and today we are joined by a wonderful panel of people, this wonderful market, to talk about this wonderful show. And of course, we have Shocking 807. How are you doing, fam?
Tama doing pretty good. How are you? Yes.
Nice. And now a fellow Tama bro and Princess Tutu, who's it's their first time on the pod. Thanks so much for coming on to the show. We're happy to have you here, Princess Tutu.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yes. And of course, we have the one, the only, Under the Scope, aka Jack. How are you doing, man?
Doing great. Thank you so much. You keep inviting me onto these podcasts to talk about my favorite animes. So I'm here for it.
I mean, you know, I would have never guessed that you liked anything done by Yamada Naoko, especially not
Right?
Tamako Market Love Story. If only you had like a video that had the thumbnail from Tamako Love Story, I feel like that would really let people know that you like this franchise.
Well, I'm surprised that you would want to talk about Tamako. I mean, is that what that character is?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because of the apple, but that is Tamako. That is the avatar I've been using this entire time on the Our Anime Podcast for years now. And so yeah, I'm really excited to have you guys here and really excited to be on here talking about the show, obviously. As the host of the Our Anime annual Valentine's rewatch for Tamako Market and Tamako Love Story. That's been going on now 4 years in a row. I still can't believe it. And yeah, so this episode, we wanted to kind of have it around White Day as a nice compliment to Valentine's Day. And so I will open the floor up, maybe to anyone in the market today on how you first came about to Tamako Market, Tamako Love Story, and what your first impressions were as you started on this dramatic market ride. How about Shaw, since you were there with me for the first rewatch?
I lost track because you've had so many of them. But I think it was like actually when we first met. And then this was back when you had your own podcast, huge throwback to the Re-Anime podcast. And you had your first, you had me on at some point. And then like we had started becoming friends. And I was like, oh, I'll check out his rewatch. This sounds cool. And yeah, I joined it and I had a really good time watching Tamako Market, and then I had a great time watching Tamako Love Story. But it was really cool at the time because I hadn't really seen a lot of slice of life anime, and I don't think I had seen a lot of Kyoto Animation anime either. So it was a really cool way to get into the genre and just like expand my horizons on the medium. And I had such a fun time, especially in your rewatch, because you have such a passion for the show. And like it's really cool though, because you really care about the series, and it's really clear that you want to like spread the positivity of this series, which I think is really endearing. So I had a great time with it, and especially Tamako Love Story is probably my favorite like romance focused series in anime. Like it's still my favorite romance, as I'd put it. Because a lot of series have romance elements, but that's my favorite one that focuses predominantly on romance. So I have so many like sweet memories of Tamako, and I love talking about it, even though I haven't had a good opportunity in a while because I have unfortunately missed the last 3 rewatches. Yeah, I missed the last 3 rewatches, unfortunately.
I was going to say, like, I was looking back the old threads and I saw the first one that I was involved in, so the second one, and Sha comes in and she says, just wanted to pop in to say 2 things. 1, you can't spoil her love, and 2, Kanna is a bad bitch and is not to be fucked with.
No one betrays you like your past self, you know? Like reading past comments. That's actually a really funny meme. You can bring that up later if you want, Fate, but that's like one of the funniest like anime related 4chan memes.
Yes, the green text, you can't spoil or love. Yeah,
yes,
that's a solid one. I'm always glad whenever someone brings it up. And Tutu, you mentioned it before, but you joined us in the second iteration of the rewatch. So
yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like Fate's just basically dragged most of us into this. That's most of our reasons. This was actually the only anime rewatch I've ever taken part in, so that's kind of like an honor. I'd never taken part in any before or since, but I think I kind of knew you from the sub, and I had some other friends who were going to watch it, so I thought I'd just join in. And I think at that point I was similar to Sha, like I hadn't seen that much Kyoani stuff. Like I think I'd seen Clannad, and that was it. So I was kind of curious. I thought it was not really my kind of thing, and I was kind of right. But I wanted to give it a go anyway. And I did love the rewatch, just to echo what Sha said already. Like all the sort of notes you added, like really added to my enjoyment, and just being able to interact with people who are so passionate about the series. And yeah, it was super fun. And like having to come up with stuff to say every week, like I definitely noticed a lot more details about the show than like I normally would possibly. So I feel like I remember it really well, and like I remember lots of the details about it, which I don't know, you can't say that for every anime you watch probably. So good thing.
Yeah, there are some airings, especially in recent memory, where not only do I not remember them well, I kind of don't want to remember them well.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Especially because like I never drop anything. So I'm always like, I'm in it for, if I start it, I'm in it for like potentially hundreds of episodes. So
oh man, that is a commitment. Well, Tamako Market is only 12 episodes, and then Tamako Love Story. It's an easy watch too, because it's only an hour 30 runtime or so.
Yeah.
So there were times
I used to have a no drop rule, but I quickly had to give that up once I actually started covering seasonal anime.
Totally understandable.
Oh man. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's really tough. But yeah, so actually, Jack, so as someone who was not coerced into the rewatch with Tamako, how did you come upon the market and the love story?
So let me just say, I think it's incredible that you guys do Valentine's rewatch, because I also do my own Tamako Love Story rewatch every year on Valentine's Day.
Oh my goodness.
We're around
Perfect.
Yeah, so pure coincidence there. So the first time I watched Tamako Market and Love Story, let's see, was it 3 years ago? I'm bad with dates. But anyways, it was probably like 3 years ago or so. And the only Yamada work I'd seen at that point, well, I guess the only one that was out at that point was K-On! And Tamako. And then also the first season of UFO was out by then, but so that she was series director there with Ishihara. So that's kind of half count. And from her work on UFO and K-On!, like I knew that not having seen Tamako Love Story especially was like a big black mark on my Yamada fan card. And so the main reason I watched Market was because I was like, all right, well, this is TV series. I hadn't actually heard that much about Market because I don't know, the circles I'm in, I guess it's like critically, it seemed that Love Story was everyone's darling. And so I started watching Market. Coincidentally, the first time I watched the second episode, which is the Valentine's episode, I was on Valentine's Day by complete happenstance.
It was fate.
It was. Exactly. And I actually really liked Market the first time I saw it, and every time since. It gave me those K-On! Vibes for sure, but in a slightly different way that I'm sure we'll get into. And then after I finished the TV series, I went on to Tamako Love Story, and it instantly became one of my favorite things ever. For a while there, I even considered it my #1 anime of all time until Sound Euphonium replaced it. But yeah, it's still very much a very special film for me. One of my favorite Yamada works. I think maybe Liz is the only one that has since topped it as my favorite of hers.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to diving into it.
And in case anyone doesn't know, saying that it means a lot coming from Jack. Because how many episodes, like how many videos on your YouTube channel under the scope have you done on like Yamada and all the works and all the interrelated things?
That is a good question. I could not give you a number. A lot of them. And I think if I told you like my personal favorite ones, they would almost all be the Kill Annie ones.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think for me it was a similar way too. I had finished watching K-On! And it was 2015, I want to say, and UFO was beginning to air. Or I saw the preview. It was like the Strike Up the Band preview. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a updated K-On! But with better visuals.
Ooh. Ooh.
And so I was like, oh, but in the meantime, while I'm waiting for that, why don't I go and watch Tamako Market and Tamako Love Story? Because it's done by the same studio, done by the same director, same character designer. And I had heard a lot of good things about Tamako Love Story. And I think it was much in the same way I think a lot of people get told about Tamako Market, which is a lot of people are like, yo, just get through it, like just endure Tamako Market so you can get to Tamako Love Story. And I kind of went in with that mentality as well. And I think because of that, it kind of colored how I watched Tamako Market. Like, of course, certain episodes really stuck out to me. Episode 4, episode 9, and the last 2 episodes. Like now every episode sticks out to me, right? But like 4 and 10, 4 and 9 especially. The first Anko one. The first Anko one. And then the one where the second Anko one. I guess Anko's kind of the MVP of the series, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it.
No.
We'll have to get into a debate there. I think.
I like it spicy already. And then going into Tamako Love Story, I loved it so much. And for me, one thing I really value in anime is the rewatchability. And after I watched Tamako Love Story, it felt like there were so many callbacks to the original series that I think I took like an hour to like digest Tamako Love Story, like wipe the tears because like that ending was so beautiful. And then I just like immediately went back to episode 1 and just rewatched it through. And I don't think I think the first time I watched Tamako Market, I had it at a 7, and then after the rewatch, I had it at a 9. I was like, everyone needs to watch this show. And then I went on Reddit and started a rewatch. So as one does.
As one does. But it's worked out pretty well because it's kind of weird to think, but I feel like, you know, Kyoto Animation has become such a staple of the anime community and has become, I'd say, like a lot more mainstream among anime fans, at least. You know, we have like Violet Evergarden coming out on Netflix. Like a lot of people know about Kyoto Animation, but it's kind of weird to think about how Tamako Market is almost like the hidden gem of the studio. Like it's kind of weird that it's not like more popular when, you know, everyone is like, they'll be like, oh, I just watched K-On! What should I watch next? And like, you think it would be the next logical thing in line to watch. So it's kind of weird that it's not, it's kind of weird that I don't see it more, you know?
Sorry, I've never seen K-On! I just feel like
Ooh,
really shocking. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I think I watched K-On! After Tamako. So
cool.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, that one's fun too.
K-On! Is delightful. We could go into a whole other discussion about that.
Yeah.
Gosh,
One
I
day.
remember being so nervous when Shaw started watching K-On! I was like, what if Shaw doesn't like K-On? I'll have to stop being friends with Shaw.
Yo, that was a shocking turn of events. That was
Shaw King.
No, I didn't want it to be my name. I didn't want to say shocking and have it be my name. I wanted it to be the word. No.
Well, enough about your name. Let's talk about a different anime film. Sorry, that was just for the sake of transition. Let's actually go back.
That one
to
worked
Tamako
out
Market.
nicely.
Thank you. So, what did you guys think of the market itself? Because that's one of the things I think that gets brought up most often is just the cast and the realism of everyone there and how they kind of stray away and from the typical thing in anime where everyone has like the same figure and like has crazy long legs and like a very thin waist and everyone's like 5'1" yet has the legs of like someone who's 6'3".
Yeah.
So how did
And
you
the
guys
same face just with different hair colors and eye
exactly? Hey, we don't throw Takeuchi under the bus for the same face syndrome. But yeah, so what did you guys think of the market? aspect of Tamako Market?
Honestly, that's probably my favorite part of the series.
Same.
Yeah.
That like the sense of community that it crafts around the people in the market and Tamako especially. It's also something that I think sets it apart from K-On! In a way, because K-On! Is more about like a circle of friends and like the bonds that grow between them specifically. Whereas Tamako Market is just this like overall family feeling that you get from being in this environment. It's such a warm series. I think that's probably like the number one word I would use to describe it is just warm. It makes me happy watching it.
And it makes sense since like in the first episode we learned that like her mother's died and whatnot. So it's kind of like the market's kind of like her surrogate sort of family. And I think like you were saying, it definitely feels like a kind of family vibe. And like Fate was saying, it does feel like a really diverse cast as well, which I think like adds to it as well. I really love Ono D's character, the flower shop lady. She's like such a cool character, and I just love having like little like just interesting characters like that like dotted around. I think really adds to, like you were saying, like a sort of natural environment and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of cool because when you think about the setting, it's almost evenly split between the market and I think the high school, but it's mostly focused on the market. And that's definitely, you know, the main point of the TV series. And I think it is really cool to see this sense of community and how they all come together. I think it's also like a really cool selling point because in general, I think Tamako's appeal is probably more of, you know, it's besides the market aspect, I think just the interactions between characters would be more along the lines of, it might not be revolutionary, but it executes things really well. But I think for the setting of having like a really cool marketplace and having different kinds of shops that they all frequent and seeing how they all interact with each other, I think it brings a nice, unique aspect to the series.
I love how it's based on a real place as well. I think that's really cool. You can definitely tell like it feels really lived in and it comes across really well.
Speaking of that, Fate has actually been there.
He has.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I've actually been to Demachi Yanagi, which is the name of the shopping district, twice.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
you never do things by halves when it comes to Tamako Market.
No,
yeah, 4 rewatches, two market visits, you know.
Oh my gosh. And like I will say this, the mochi that they have there is so good. Oh my goodness. Like
Really?
I can't even begin to describe how delicious the mochi is. So it's not directly, so it's not the same place where the shop is in the series. It's actually around the corner. And the line to the line to go get mochi at the shop is so long that it wraps around several times, and it has like its designated police officer who's like this retired old guy. I think it's been the same time I've been, and he just like makes sure everyone's in line and like says their order immediately because they make it like they hand make it like
he should have been in the show.
Right? Where is he in the show?
Yeah, come on.
If only we need our Tama bros in the show, in this Tama show.
Oh god.
Oh my gosh. I do like the Tama bros. Not gonna lie about that. Love the Tama bros. Both the guys in the show and the pun.
Yes.
Yes, I love the guys in the show.
I would die for Mochizou.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
my gosh.
Oh my god.
We'll get onto the yeah, me too.
I love Mochizou so much. Oh my god. I wasn't sure when do we get to the Mochizou section.
Yeah, I've been waiting. So.
Okay,
I love him.
We talked about the market. Let's get. I do want to say though, I do love the representation that they have of like all sorts of people, especially as
about Mochizou.
And the fact that we do have trans representation with Hana in the flower shop because she's been voiced by a male voice actor in every dub, which makes
cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's
so which makes and with dub choices like that usually comes straight from the studio itself.
Yeah.
So I imagine that was really important for them, and it's not something that they ever addressed. They're never like, oh, like sit down and we're like, man, like let's talk about the flower lady's gender, because like that's not a thing that you would do in like a realistic setting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nor is it ever something they joke about or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just like
you see far too often in anime.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like One Piece would do. But yeah, they just like take it on the chin, and like a couple of characters are like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is.
She's gorgeous. Which is great. But speaking of people who are gorgeous, so Mochizou.
Oh my god, Mochizou.
He's so
What a good
stylish.
boy.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
The way Mochizou like blushes and then just covers his entire face gives me life. Oh my god, that's just the cutest thing ever. And he blushes over everything too. Like I
Yeah.
remember what like Tamako made him a cake on his birthday and he thought that she forgot him, and he's just like the happiest person of all time and can't contain it. And then I'm the happiest person of all time.
And the fact that that's how Love Story ends too, after Tamako's
Oh,
suggestion.
yeah.
Oh, and
Spoiler
he's-
alert. But like, oh my god, that's the sweetest thing.
It's
And
so
his
cute.
ears are blushing too. Like his
Yeah.
entire face goes red. Oh my gosh. And it's so crazy too, because like the way he dresses, and he's got the stud as well.
The earrings, and he
The
like
earrings
wears
are
like a
on point.
necklace. It's so cool. I feel like he's like exactly how like a Japanese teenager would dress,
Mhm,
and I really love that.
mhm.
I always
Yeah.
love outfits in Kiwani shows.
They
His, like,
just
poofy
they
sweater.
go all out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and his scarf, it's so cute. I'm looking at more
Yes.
pictures of him. It's so cute. Ah. He's adorable. And it fits in the show so well because
Mhm.
Tamako is also adorable. So I gotta give credit where credit is due. 'Cause
Yes.
Tamako is adorable as well. They're adorable together. I'm so happy. I feel so many butterflies thinking about them.
Aw.
Aw.
I love
And
them.
It's so great too, because like Mochizou's character design, like I feel like he could have been like you could almost see him as like the bad boy kind of thing,
He almost
Um,
looks edgy. Almost.
right?
Yeah,
But like
Almost.
It's like the
because he's
perfect
so cute and like
He's
contradiction.
so
Yeah.
soft.
Yeah, like because people with like like guys who wear earrings aren't necessarily like huge edgelords. Sometimes
Yeah,
they're
of
just
course.
stylish. So
Right,
it's
right.
like it's a nice contrast where it's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
he looks like he could have that rock style to him, but no, he's just a giant marshmallow.
Yeah, because like I don't like the Kiwani boys that look like too soft and like too feminine, like
Mhm.
Makoto from Free. I'm like,
Oh my god, why do you
Ooh.
call me out like this? You know I can't go hard on this.
you know we'd come to this at some point.
I was just tweeting about this, and
I had to
knew
get
it
my
was gonna
Makoto
happen.
hate in somehow.
We
it had to
we're doing
happen.
the free pod will happen, and there's just gonna be a
Alright.
lot of yelling, but after season 3, it'll be fun. But I
Okay.
understand.
But yeah, cute Mochi.
Yeah, no.
I spoke to my friend, like, who's a huge fan of the show before I
Mhm.
did this, and I was like,
Mhm.
what is it you really love about it? And she said, I just love seeing, like, a cute boy really in love. And I was like, do you know what? That's fair. That was
Yeah.
her.
You know what? I can get behind that. That's
Yeah.
adorable.
And it's kind of nice that he's the one that's, like, kind of pining after her, and she's the dense one. Like, the
Mhm.
girl's the dense one, and seems kind of a little bit of a change, which is
Mhm.
kind
Yeah.
of nice as well. If you like that kind of thing. I don't, but yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. It's
Mhm.
like a cute dynamic.
It almost gives like shoujo manga vibes, in that sense where like the girl is a little bit of the dense one, but
Yeah.
also like usually in shoujo manga the guy is like a lot cooler. He's like the silent type.
True. Yeah.
But like Mochizou's just like an adorable little puppy pining after
Yeah.
Right,
Tamako.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think it runs into like problematic territory when like you have the dense girl and the guy and there's this like power dynamic or like
Mhm.
power gap between them. But you don't get
That's
that sense
so
from
true.
Tamako and Mochi whatsoever.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very
Yeah.
pure.
Very wholesome, very pure, very mochi, very
Yes.
very adorable. Yeah,
Very-
it is interesting because I found that like I do like a lot of romance and anime, but I think like you guys have been saying, there's a lot of times when it just gets very oof.
Mhm.
In any ways you can interpret oof. Y'all know.
Mhm.
But this is so cool because it does a good job of being like, I feel like it's grounded but also adorable. Where
Mhm.
it's like I was just thinking, I guess just jumping right into it with like Tamako love story, like the way the confession and everything that happens afterwards pans out, it felt very authentic and natural. And I still get the like squealing butterflies over how cute it is without getting any of the like cringe over the potential drama that can happen afterwards. The
Mhm.
like will she, won't they? And
Mhm.
even when like serious situations happen, like I think it was Tamako's grandfather ends
Mhm.
up in the hospital,
Right.
so like naturally they drop all of the awkwardness for something as serious as that, which I think is something really authentic for neighbors who've been best friends for like 18 years.
Mhm.
So they do a great job of like paying attention to the important stuff and the way that people would actually act in that situation while
Mhm.
still being like a really cute work of fiction.
Mhm. It's very
Yeah.
organic. in that
Yeah,
regard.
exactly.
Like I feel like a lot of anime you like the misunderstandings that happen between
Ugh.
couple.
Oh
and-
yes. Oh yes.
Here, like, there's no misunderstanding. It's like Tamako has like no idea what her feelings are, and Mochizou is just like waiting. And like the scene where he's on the hill and he just like screams into the air and he's just like so frustrated with everything that's happened. Like I was like, man, like I remember being that guy in high school and just like all those emotions, like it didn't feel melodramatic. It felt like real dramatic, if that's a word.
Yeah. Yeah,
Real
exactly.
It felt adolescent, is what it felt.
Tell me, Jack, is adolescence something that Yamada Naoko focuses on in her work at all?
I had no idea. With Tamako love story in particular, too, like
Mhm,
probably more so than any of her works, like
mhm,
she has said that like adolescence was the theme going
mhm,
into the work. Like that is the word that stuck in her head the entire time through,
mhm.
was how to depict adolescence. And ultimately, I think Tamako love story is probably like the quintessential teen romance story.
Mhm, mhm. And not in the sense that like maybe Westerners might think when you think of like a team's like
Mhm.
because you might
Yeah.
think
Not like a
teen
Disney
summer-
Channel sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like I was just watching Easy A before this podcast. I think that's kind of like I love that movie, by the way. This is like that's not I love that movie. But that's kind of got that like teen romance feel vibe. And then they mention all like the 80s movies that like, you know,
mhm,
16 Candles and stuff. And I think of that a lot of times with like teen romance. But that does have a lot more of the angst and stuff. And we don't really
Mhm.
have a lot of angst in this, which I appreciate.
mhm. Yeah, it's really nice to see, and like it's so beautiful to see like Tamako come to the realization of her feelings. Like initially we get that gorgeous watercolor scene as
Yeah.
she's running after Mochizou confesses to her, she falls into the river because you know the only thing I would do if Mochizou confessed to me was speak in like a really old style of Japanese and then immediately sprint to the market. Which
I would
by
say
the way,
Tamako's sprinting animation there is so
It's-
great.
it's so good. The way it's like the camera keeps cutting like little by little and she's
Yeah.
just like slowly moving, and then her legs start like running while her arms are still to the side. And in case you were wondering, like man, like I wonder how much she ran. That bridge is like right next to the market. It's
So
like
she ran,
market
like, 2
ends,
feet.
and then it goes to the bridge.
That wasn't like
that's-
that wasn't some long distance sprint. That was just like, yeah, we just went like 2 feet, but it felt like 2 miles.
and it's crazy too because like going there in real life, I don't know if it was because I had seen Tamako Love Story and like Tamako Market beforehand, but I was like, man, this place really is gorgeous and like kind of the ordinariness of it all, because like there are a lot of bridges in Japan and there are a lot of rivers and there's a lot of stepping stones. Maybe there are some with turtles as well, but I think that's kind of the point of Tamako Love Story as well. There's like this really something beautiful in the like simplicity and the ordinariness of their relationship.
Mhm.
So yeah, and it's just like I love that shot of Tamako and Jack. You have to contain herself when it's her in glasses and her hair is down. As
my
like
God.
she's as she's like
That is a
looking
look.
He's
as
so
she's
cute.
when she's looking out into the rain and she's got the like I think it's like a spatula or something in her hand and she's like letting the thing burn on the stove as she's thinking about Mochizou's confession.
Literally, that like 2-second shot sends me into cardiac arrest every time I see it. I was
That's a
just
big move.
talking about this on Twitter today, actually.
I'm looking up the picture too. This is
Mhm.
too cute.
It's so
Tamako
cool.
with glasses, like, you know, everyone adds glasses in fan art, but Tamako rocks it in the show. Love it.
Also, Tamako wears contacts, and I feel like you never see people really wear contacts in anime unless it's like color contacts for like
Yeah.
a romance
Mhm.
subplot. But
Hard
like,
to relate, although I don't wear contacts anymore. But
Wait, we're not even mentioning the cutest part about how they have the cup phones.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh my
how
gosh.
do we forget about the cup phones?
Oh my gosh. That is the cutest thing ever. They're like literally 18 and they're still throwing cup phones across the street and they're still talking to them. Like they have cell phones and they choose not to use them to talk through the cup phones because they are too cute. And then of course they use that at the end with the
Mhm.
dozo. Oh my god, I'm still freaking out. This is so cute. So
My favorite part is every year people will be like, this doesn't really seem realistic to do, and like by episode 4, I want to say, Uncle calls them out on it. She's like, you
Yeah.
guys, you can just use your phones. You don't need to use this. And Mochizou's like, no, but it connects more than our voices. It connects our hearts.
Oh my
Does
god.
he think that or say that?
I think he says that to Anko.
Anko is like 12 going on 50. She's like, I'm tired of your kids' shit.
I
Like,
love
I'm
it.
not,
I love it.
I'm not dealing with this. I love that.
Oh man, and speaking of Mochizou, I love, like, let's talk about his dynamics with characters other than Tamako for a sec. Like, I love his dynamic with Anko because Mochizou is an only child, and yet he really does seem like an older brother to Anko, and they have like really great moments with just the two of them as he like walks her to school, or like as she joins him, and like they just have a really solid dynamic that I really love watching.
Yeah. Now his relationship with Midori is particularly.
Mm.
great
Oh, I
to
was
me.
waiting for
That's
that.
what I was saying. Me too.
I was
Yeah.
waiting
The
for that one. I
battle
was like,
between these
that's
two.
That's some
Yes.
spice.
Ooh.
See, yeah, that's some spice. I mean, I was thinking of Midori for a bit because I was thinking about the cast and like my favorite among the cast, and like Kanna is like obviously, you know,
The best girl.
the
ever.
guy,
Number one.
the-
Okay.
like a gift to us from above. Thank you.
Kanna
And
is
then-
a literal angel.
She's a
yeah,
bad bitch, actually.
you know, you look up. Yeah, oh my god, why do I say that? Oh my god.
I love the in Tamako love story where she's like running across the gymnasium floor
Yes,
on her side. She goes,
that's the best.
"Sa, sa, 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 sa,
Oh,
sa."
That is the cutest thing human hands have ever made.
How do they draw anything after that once they've achieved the perfection? Like they've peaked as a human being after drawing that.
How do you even come up with that? Because like,
Yeah.
like who thinks like, hey guys, so today Kanna is
No,
going.
but-
We're going to be drawing the scene where Kanna goes to the Baton Club, but she's just not going to walk there. No. She's gonna slide. on
No,
her
but like
socks.
gym floors are slippy if you're just
They
wearing
are.
tights, man. So it's
Mm.
perfectly
Yeah.
realistic, you know?
Mhm.
But then, like, even after that moment, then she steps up onto like the stage or whatever, and then
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
dizzy. She's like too
With
high.
her fear of heights.
Oh,
I love it.
It's vertigo.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is not gonna
She's
lie.
like, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, not gonna lie, when Kobayashi Dragon Maid came out, I was real nervous. I was like, Kyoani's making a show with a Kanna in their cast. You know, like she's got big shoes to fill, and then that Kanna was super adorable too. So like, you know, I think
Petition to get KyoAni to make more Kannas.
Yo, when do we get the Kanna anime? Like, let's just get an entire show full of the Kannas.
Kanna
TCP?
love story,
The
where
MC?
it's just Kanna and right angles. But Tutu, you were saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like other than Nichijou, like, other than the girls from that, I feel like Kanna's like my favorite Hyoani girl.
Mhm.
Like, she's my favorite. I just love like that kind of deadpan humor and whatnot.
Mhm.
She's like my favorite type of character that they do, probably. So she's like cute in her own way. I love her.
She is.
I can think of one other KyoAni character whose name starts with a K that I'd probably rate a little higher.
Ooh, I think-
But Kanna's up there.
I wonder who that is, eh?
How
wonder.
warm does her name sound, Jack?
Quite.
Oh man, but yeah, and like she serves a really great dynamic in the characters as amongst their friend group as well, because like
Yeah.
Midori is in her own headspace. She's got a lot to deal with, and like
Yeah.
Tamako literally only thinks about Mochi. Like,
Oh my gosh.
and Kanna's like kind of sees everything that's going on,
Mhm.
and I really love the thing she does where she like does the like she closes one eye and like looks at like does the framing thing, which
Yeah.
I'm assuming
Yes,
like
me too.
carpenters do and stuff, and she like feels when a scene feels off, and like she says things. She always says the right thing to like diffuse a situation or to like make sure everything's okay. Like I just love that about her. The even like some of the quote unquote weaker episodes, like the haunted one,
Oh, yeah.
haunted house one, where
Mhm.
they're like, oh shoot, there's like all these terrible things going on. There's like a bloody businessman and like a spirit, and like Kanna was like, nah, I planned it all out. I was like, oh, let's do this to drum up interest. Like this girl knows what's up. And then she's like gives advice to Tamako on how to tell Mochizou that she likes him. And she's like, oh, like fall down, get bumped by him, fall onto the floor, and then say, build me a house.
I love that.
Gosh. Oh, Kanna.
Yeah, Kanna probably has like like you said, she's really perceptive and great at reading people's feelings. Probably more so than anyone else in the show.
Mhm.
She has one of my like favorite moments, maybe my number one favorite moment in Market, where like I forget which episode it's in, but she's with Midori, and like she can like see her feelings for Tamako and tells her that like, you know, tells her the thing about everybody loves somebody. It's so sweet. I love that theme and the way it shows up throughout the series. And Kanna is just precious.
Yes. Protect Kanna. Kanna can protect herself, to be honest. She's very good with
True.
a
Oh, yeah.
hammer.
If she'll build a house on someone, she's good.
She will drop a house on you.
Yes.
But yes, that is episode 2, and that is one of the themes of the show that gets repeated. Everybody loves somebody. And Kanna also gives her spin, which is that anybody can love anybody, which I think is a really empowering message to send, and one that I did not expect going into Tamako Market blind. So let's talk a little about that anybody who loves anybody in Midori to round out the main trio of girls. We'll get to Shiori in a little bit. But with Midori, she to me is what makes this show and this franchise so unique, and it like she elevates the whole series because she gives it a different yet authentic element to it all with her feelings for Tamako.
Yeah, I
just
would
want her to be
agree.
happy.
Yeah. I want her to be happy, but like within reason of like my happiness for what I want from the series. But I still want her to be happy. Yeah.
It's gotta be because you want Tamako Mochizou, so like
Exactly. It's very conflicting for me.
I want everyone to be happy, but you know, like within the confines of what I want, which is very selfish because I'm not in Tamako Market, unfortunately. Yeah, I think she's really interesting because I think she's like, you know, they never come out and outright say that she has feelings for Tamako. You know, like there's no confession scene for her, but we can just tell from the context and the framing of her perception and, you know, the way she goes about handling different situations. But it really does make it interesting because it's kind of, I think you were saying this when we were talking about Hana in the Market, you know, they don't really kind of like outright come out and say things. They just kind of accept them as like this, it is what it is. And this is just kind of like a natural part of life, which I think adds to the organic authenticity of the series.
Yeah, I love how it normalizes her feelings.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't other her either. Like it treats her feelings for Tamako with the exact same respect that it treats Mochizou's feelings for her, while still recognizing that like Tamako is both off in her own world, and then ultimately in Love Story returns those feelings for Mochizou. I think one of my favorite moments in the film and series is when anytime Midori like calls Mochizou out on his bullshit, basically, and she's like, man up and, you know, tell her how you feel, or like she recognizes that like she can see more into Tamako than he can in some ways.
Definitely.
And like isn't afraid to push him in that direction, knowing full well that it means sacrificing her own feelings a little bit. And I think that's really strong of her.
Yeah, there's that great line that they have when they're bickering back and forth about how much they like Tamako, or like how much they know about Tamako, and Mochizou's like, oh, like I've been there basically since we were born, and Midori's like, yeah, well, did you know she used to wear like giant glasses when she was a kid? And it's really interesting to watch, and I think to me it was really impactful because even up to that point, while I had seen, like, I guess compared to like casual anime fans, a fair amount of anime, it was the first time I had really seen any sense of LGBT representation that was not so poorly handled, like in One Piece. Because One Piece, it's oh boy, oof, that's an oof. But with Tamako Market and Midori, like that episode 2, there's that one moment where Tamako goes to like says there's something in Midori's hair, and like she reaches her hand in, and like it's a super close up, and like there's so much tension in that shot, and like you can almost hear Midori's heart like bursting out of her chest. And so like without ever saying like, hey, by the way, guys, Midori's pretty gay and she likes Tamako. Like no one says that. No one is like,
Yeah.
oh, like they just know, and like you could just tell. And it's really, really lovely to see. And in some senses, it's like Jack, you were saying that they respect both of their loves, and I think it's like sometimes like you can see that they both love her so much, and
Mhm.
to some extent, you might like the fact that Midori, like how painful do you think it must have been for Midori to go to the school to find Tamako, to give her that white lie, to like run after Mochizou, knowing that
Mhm.
that's the moment she'll never have Tamako. Like
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, and yet she does it. She does it because that's how she knows Tamako will be happy.
Exactly.
Mhm.
She puts Tamako's. It's not that she's putting Mochizou's feelings over her own. She's putting Tamako's feelings over
Yeah.
her
Mhm.
own.
Yeah, exactly. It must really suck. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say it must suck to know that like, we know Mochizou is like our resident marshmallow, but like, like he confessed his feelings, but I think, Midori is just so much more, I think she's so much more honest about herself and was honest with herself sooner. I'm
Mhm.
sure she's probably just like so frustrated with these two guys who are just so
Mhm.
so shy and not forthcoming about their feelings that she's like, if I was in your position, like
Mhm.
I would have taken so many more opportunities than you guys did, which I think
Mhm.
is like a little bit of bittersweetness that adds to everything of like the missed opportunities and the feelings that won't be reciprocated for her, which is really sad.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think for me, like Midori was one of definitely the more interesting characters in the cast because I feel she was the one that had the most kind of noticeable flaws about her character.
Mhm.
And even though like the whole series is about love and like being really wholesome about loving one another and those kinds of things. I mean, love was also the reason like why she made some like bad decisions or did maybe the wrong thing because of like being like jealous or selfish or whatever was like came from the love in the first place. And I just thought like that made her so much more relatable. I felt as a character, like I was never really like diehard shipper of like the main two because they are just totally like cinnamon buns and they're like perfect and wholesome and like they're great for each other, I guess, but I never like really felt the feels for them because they were just like cute little munchkins and like I didn't that was nice, but I didn't feel anything more. Whereas with Midori, yeah, I just felt like her character arc was like it was like more emotional just because of those reasons, like because you could kind of see, like, oh no, because you didn't want her to come in between these two people that should be together, but at the same time you could understand her, and yeah, I just loved all those aspects, and it like really added like a kind of another side to the whole theme of love that they had going, like in the rest of the marketplace. Even though, of course, like in the end, because she loves her so much, she does put her feelings first, like you were saying. But I just kind of like the journey that she went on to get there. I thought was good.
Yeah, she adds more spice because if like
For
we're
sure.
talking like mochi flavors, like the main two are like a bit more vanilla, but like Midori brings
Yeah.
that like spiciness to it that makes it a bit more tasty.
Yeah, because she's a flawed character. She's a deeply flawed character.
Yeah.
There's that moment where after she like sees Mochi, like they have that whole thing where it's like a montage of them trying to get Tamako to confess her feelings to Mochizou, but they keep failing. And then they go into Tamako's house and she runs into Mochizou and she's like, I didn't think you'd actually do this. And then she goes in and she pretends to choke on Mochi while like not a couple days before Tamako's grandpa had to be rushed to the hospital because he choked on Mochi.
Oh
Like
God.
what the fuck, Mochi? Like, what a dick move to do. Holy shit. But
Yeah.
she just wants some of that attention.
Yeah, it's you can kind of feel for her in many ways. Yeah.
So yeah, I love that, and it was and it's not just the interactions between Tamako and Mochizou. I think it's actually the interactions between everyone else that especially makes Tamako love story so good. I think someone on this podcast, Shaw, really likes a conversation in the hospital
Oh.
between Tamako's dad and Mochizou.
Yeah.
The best character in the whole series.
Oh my god. Okay.
Amadai?
The
Yamada is so great.
I love her
Yes.
so much.
So I'm
That's
glad that
bad.
everyone loves this scene too. It's not, yes. Okay, so this was cool because Tamako's dad is like the low key, like I feel like a lot of shows have the low key MVP where like there's like the underappreciated character who's not that obviously, amazing or interesting.
He's the high key MVP.
Oh yeah, we'll go with the high key MVP.
His episode was the best and everything.
Yeah, I loved his episode. I think that's
But
episode
carry on.
9.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Episode
so
9,
that was the beginning of like my affinity of like having strong feelings for the show was like seeing his musical episode where they show the clip of it was like back when he was a teenager and he was trying to confess to Tamako's mom and then like he writes a song for her and it's like the best song. It's so
the
cute.
best song
it's the best.
in
And
the
the way
world.
they use it in Tamako Love
Such a
Story
good song.
is amazing.
Yeah. That song is actually my favorite ending in like any anime movie.
Same.
As you can see from Fate's Avatar, that's like from that ending scene.
Yep.
And yeah, so I love that song and just like how much it means for the series of just, like confessing and being in love and being super cute. But so seeing that the first time was like really great because it was really like that was another bittersweet but really touching episode of like how empty it is without Tamako's mom and you get to see her being happy with Tamako's dad and it's like it's really cute but it is sad that like they don't get to see her and you hear the little mentions that Anko makes about like how she forgets what her mom looks like and how she wasn't really a part of her life so she can't appreciate her the same way that everyone else can. And then what makes Tamako Love Story the movie such a standout for me is the scene in the hospital after Tamako's grandpa gets rushed to the hospital and it's fine. But another big subplot of the movie, besides the adorable confession that I keep fangirling over, is the conflict that Mochizou has between if he wants to go away to school to pursue a career in film, or if he wants to stay at home and be part of the market family that he's been a part of for so long, and that's been such a close-knit part of his life. And Tamako's dad has a conversation with him, and I'll always remember the quote actually. And it says, go what he's essentially says, like, you need go like accomplish your dreams, but don't forget to come back home. And I think that's such a great message for the whole series of like, you shouldn't be afraid to go, try and like accomplish your dreams, but always remember where you came from, always remember your home, always remember like the community that you are a part of. And I think that's always stuck with me as something that brings Tamako Love Story to another level. It's not just a cute teenage romance, but it's a really heartfelt story about growing up. But
it's got like coming of age in there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, a huge theme of it is this like idea of facing forward and like taking that first step into an uncertain future, but like while still hanging on to everything that got you to that point. I think it's really interesting too the way that Mochizou's decision in Tamako Love Story echoes Tamako's decision at the end of Market, where like Tamako is faced with she can go with the prince and whatnot, but she chooses to stay home, whereas Mochizou like wants to go and pursue his dream in Tokyo, but like still doesn't lose sight of his place. And I think like especially the way that Tamako's confession too like keeps him there. I love the way that is handled at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I love the parallels to that. And, we don't really get Mamadai talking to Tamako about the decision. He basically, Tamako's decision to stay, he basically just says, like, whatever you'll do, like, I'll support you. And he just says that. But, like, with Mochizou, who isn't even his own kid, and, like, repeatedly so. Like, Mochizou will call him, like, Otosa, and he's like, don't call me that.
You're not my kid.
But, like,
he's such a tsundere. I love it. Tsundere dad.
Oh my gosh, he's so adorable. But then like he's such a great dad, and like I'm like he does treat Mochizou like his kid in that moment. Like, come back to home. Like, there are people who love you. There are gonna be people who miss you. And like while respecting his choice as an adult that's growing up. And like Mamadai, like so many moments are great. There's that moment where Tamako is like kind of feverish because Mochizou's confessed to her and she's like at a loss, and so she starts like she wakes up early, starts to work, and Mamadai like doesn't even make eye contact with her, and he's like, you can rest if you want, we can handle it, rest up. And she's like, no, I'll work. And he's like, no, it's okay, I know you've had to work a lot since your mom. And then he just like trails off. And throughout the series, you just like he never makes it explicit. He's never like, man, I miss my wife a lot, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But especially episode 9, the only episode where instead of having Tamako read the episode title, which is always cute and adorable, with episode 9, we have that opening scene that I've called "How to Tell a Love Story in 77 Seconds." Uh,
That scene
um,
is so brilliant.
it's such a brilliant scene of Tamako's mom and dad meeting for the not for the first time, I'm assuming, but like when Mamadai like confesses to her because she like says she loved their Mamadai Fukumochi,
Yeah.
and the interpretation there, and they just seem like such wholesome kids and so in love. And then it flash forwards and like he's old, he's got a receding hairline, and he sees someone walking down that same street with the parasol and like the similar haircut, and he starts singing that song that Tamako has just been trying to find out for the last 8 episodes, and like he starts singing it as the title card goes over, and I just love that scene so much.
Oh,
Oh.
best.
It's no, like Mamadai is such a good dad, and it's nice that I'm glad they had the right idea in mind when they casted him as well, because his voice actor is
He's like
Fujiwara.
one of my favorites. He's like,
Mhm.
I put him in my favorites after watching this because I just loved him
they-
so much. And I love his singing voice as well. It's just amazing.
The acoustic when he like starts, I'm so sad they don't have like an acoustic version, because like when he breaks
Oh,
out the
yeah.
guitar and like starts singing it in episode 9, and like that's when Tamako like walks by, like that's such a gorgeous voice, and he's like the epitome of a dad in anime, because he's voiced the dad in Crayon Shin-chan.
Yep.
He's voiced May Hughes in Full Metal Alchemist
Yeah.
Brotherhood,
Yeah, he's
Mhm.
perfect.
who
Yep.
is the most notable dad in that show.
Yeah.
He's like low key the Tom Hanks of anime voices.
That's so true. I like
Ooh.
that. I
He's
agree.
like, I was trying to think of like comparisons for various voice
Mhm.
actors, and he came to mind as he just plays like the most likable guy ever.
Mhm.
That's
I-
what he.
Leorio as well.
Yeah,
Leorio
my
is
favorite
great.
dad. My
Best.
favorite dad, of course.
Same.
And like the roles are so different too, but they're all like great father figures. Like in Attack on Titan as well, he's Hans.
Yes, it's true.
And like
Yeah,
Mochizou's dad, oh sorry, not Mochizou's dad, Tamako's dad, Mamadai, like can't drink to save his life. He has a super low tolerance.
Yeah.
But Han is just like this drunk dude who's like constantly wasted around while he's like on guard fighting the Titans.
Yeah.
And yet they still evoke the same like even in just his voice, you get the sense of like security.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so warm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's amazing. It's like really amazing what he's able to convey. Such a great voice actor, and
Mhm.
yeah, he does a great job with this role. Because I mean, we're comparing him to like it's not like easy to be Maze Hughes, but that's like a very dramatic role, whereas this one is a lot more subdued. So
Mhm.
it really shows his range and versatility.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
I love
honestly,
the way.
uh-huh.
Oh,
Go
go
ahead. No, you.
I was gonna say that I love the way how Mamadai and Tamako's mom's love story echoes Tamako and Mochizou's in Tamako Love Story,
Mhm.
and like the back and forth between those two. I mean, for one, you have the fact that you get Mamadai's rendition of Koi no Uta as the
Mhm.
opening of the film, and then Tamako's voice actress does it for the ending.
Mhm.
That's perfect. But then also, like, there's that scene in Love Story where Tamako's listening to the tape recording of
Mhm.
Mamadai's Koi no Uta, and then it keeps going, and you get her mom's like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star afterwards, and
Aw.
like that moment where like she sees like her response to him, because Koi no Uta is essentially Mamadai's confession, and like when she hears her mom's response, it's like that sparks something in her to know how she to make her honest with her own feelings towards Mochizou.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a gorgeous scene, and we mentioned the '80s teen romance films, but like the fact that like they have a cassette player and then like it going to the other side, like that's such an '80s, like it's very much a nostalgic, innocent kind of
Yeah.
Yamada
anime film.
specifically said, at least I can't remember if this was an interview about Love Story or Market, but she specifically said they had like this focus on getting these like analog props in there between the telephone,
Mhm.
like the cassette player. Like they really wanted this like tangible feel to some of the stuff.
The record player as well.
The record player too, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact about the Tamako's mom, she's voiced by Yoko Hikasa, who also voices Mio in K-On!
Yeah.
So like I can't even imagine how hard it must have been for her to like sing poorly.
Wait, no,
Right?
I don't like the implications of this. No.
that Mio is Tamako's mom.
And then she
In the
dies.
KyoAni cinematic universe here.
Oh
Then
my
she
god.
dies. No. Why did you
Oh,
say
no.
that? Why
Oh,
did you
no.
do that? I mean, thank you for sharing, but why?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
I still like I keep saying this and I'll say this until I die. Like the anime that would wreck me the most would be Tamako Before Story, just like a love story focusing on her mom and her dad and like bringing it up until her mother is passing. And I like that would be like
that would destroy me.
Yeah, I'm not down. I can't hang.
oh, God. It is also nice too. Speaking of her mom, that like I think we've said this like a ton, right? But it bears repeating that they don't over dramatize her death.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That's one of the things that really stands out to me. Like compared to other KyoAni shows, I usually find them like too melodramatic,
Mhm.
where and it's over like the smallest things sometimes, like high
Mhm.
school things, which is understandable because when you're in high school, it's like a big deal at the time. But this has like some really heavy subject matter with like her mum like having died and everything, and like it never feels like you're getting hit over the head with it like too strongly. It just,
Mhm.
I mean, it's sad, and you definitely like. I feel like they touch upon it enough for her to
Mhm.
definitely feel like missed, and for her to feel the impact of that and like how it's affected, the family and like the market and whatnot, and to have all those cute parallels between the couples. But I never feel like I'm getting like hit with the feels like every episode, and
Yeah.
it's just like
Mhm.
it doesn't wear you out. Like it still manages to have like it still feels lighthearted. Like overall, that's still the vibe of the show, which is like its biggest strength probably.
Mhm.
And by the time that we jump into the story too, time
Yeah.
has passed since
That's
then.
true. Yeah.
So it's like, we're not seeing the grieving process. We're seeing that like they've already sort of come to terms with it.
Mhm.
But it still lends it weight, right? Like, and I think the scene that we were talking about earlier, where like Mamadai kind of trails off when he mentions Tamako's mom, like you can tell that there still is that residual pain there.
Mhm.
But I also love the way that Tamako kind of like feels like not a replacement for, but like she's sort of taken on the role of her mom, not just within their own family, but the market as a whole.
Mhm.
Like that, like you get the feeling from flashbacks and stuff that Tamako's mom was kind of the heart of some of this place when she
Mhm.
got there, and that
Yeah.
Tamako has now kind of filled that role herself.
Mhm. And Anko too. Like Anko's with her episode where we see in the flashback to start, we have Anko as even younger than she is, and her mom at that point, we don't ever see the mom's face in that opening scene. Like dressing Anko up and like wiping her tears and letting her know that she's a princess and like cheering her up.
Aw.
Uncle Hime.
Anko
So
and
cute.
then Anko does that for one of the younger girls in the market, and you just see Kaoru, the flower lady, in the background, like have this kind of like wistful, nostalgic, melancholic smile as she sees like Anko almost too quickly have to be that mother figure, but also like a sense of pride in the fact that Anko's been able to do this.
Yeah.
So it's
Cute.
really great. It's really cute. And then that like I like we haven't even mentioned like Yamada's affinity for leg shots.
I thought that kind of goes without saying.
That's true.
Some things speak for themselves.
Some things speak for themselves. But one of my favorites of hers is the one in episode 12, I believe, where Tamako comes back from school to see the market completely empty. And she like starts sprinting to her house, and she's worried that someone's died because that's what the market was like when her mom passed.
Mhm.
But everything's fine. They were just in a meeting, and she's like, "Oh, it's fine." And like the camera pans down to her legs, and then like it flashes back to like a kind of a grainy black and white almost filter of like young Tamako's feet, and like you just know that was when the funeral happened. Like Midori understanding the implication of that, and it's just like super powerful stuff in like split-second scenes. That
All of that
don't-
stuff is shown and not
Mhm.
said too.
Exactly.
I think that gives it much more impact.
So
Now
and-
Yamada's good at what she does. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I still can't believe because she had to be what, like 26, 27 when she directed this
That's
series.
crazy to think about.
Yeah.
something
Especially
like that,
as I
huh?
turned 25 and about to turn
Yeah.
26. I'm like,
exactly.
When do we get
What
to
have
make
I
Tamako Market?
when will I have my Tamako love story moment where it's like, yes, I'm going to have, one of the leading heads of the industry, and I forget his name, but he was the one who wrote up the blurb for Tamako love story at the Japan Media Arts Festival, and he had worked on like Astro Boy and like the
What?
Gundams, and like
Wow.
Yep.
he had with Osamu Tezuka.
Tezuka?
Yeah. And he was like, oh, like this film represents the pinnacle of modern Japan animation. And
What?
Nice. Nice.
Agreed.
Yeah. When will we reach this peak?
When will I become the standard of Japanese animation?
and like, I can't even imagine what it must have felt like for Yamada to like hear that praise.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Especially because this was a risk, right? Because they could have done K-On! Season 3, but it's a completely original property. And I think that is one of the reasons why it gets so overlooked, because there's no other source material. So there's not like a whole line of merchandise or figures or just like fan following around it, really. And like Kyokai no Kanata. And it would also like thank you to HIDIVE for streaming this, because it was in like licensing hell for a while, because it was like on Hulu, and like Hulu went under, and so for like I think one of the years for the rewatch, there was literally no legal way of watching the
That was the
series.
year that I was doing it, because I just noticed this in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
The first year that I watched it, the first time
Crazy.
I watched Love Story, there was no legal way to watch it,
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think there was
or
for me
market
either.
for that matter. I don't think.
Yeah.
And like the Blu-rays weren't even available, and so it was really tough. And like even the anime that came right after it, like Chuni Kyokai no Kanata, they all had like they were all on Crunchyroll, and then Hyoko was like that real like cult classic kind of Kyoani anime, where it's like, oh, you can't watch this legally yet, but it's the best thing you can't watch legally, so you should watch it. So
there was a time when Tamako, Hyoka, and Nichijou, which came out in successive years, were all like unlicensed and had no Western Blu-ray release or anything. And I remember a couple years ago, they all got one at like almost the same time. It was incredible.
Right. Yeah, Funimation picked up both Hyoka and Nichijou, and then Sentai picked up Tamako Market. And I remember seeing like the news that like Tamako Market was getting a Blu-ray and getting like pinged by like 12 different people.
Yeah.
And I immediately went on to like write stuff, and I was like, please send this to me as soon as it comes out. I need it. Because I was so desperate to like support the property that I even bought like the Japanese Blu-ray for Love Story, and they didn't have the limited edition available still, so I just have like the standard edition Tamako Love Story Blu-ray. But it's it's really wonderful to watch, and it is really interesting to see Tamako Love Story now that I've seen Liz and the Bluebird. And I think we've all seen Liz and the Bluebird here, so
Yes.
how it has watching Liz and the Bluebird kind of made you think back, because to me there are a lot of parallels with how Midori was handled, and of course how Nozomi and Mizore, how their feelings are handled, and it's a lot more explicit. And in the same sense where like K-On! The movie and Koe no Katachi are very strong films in my opinion, especially Koe no Katachi, but like Liz and Tamako Love Story feel like very they feel very creator like director focused. And so has watching one affected how you think of the other for you guys?
I think part of the reason that you say that, and I agree too, is that unlike Koe no Katachi or the K-On! Movie to an extent, Liz and Tamako are both like really simple stories at their core, right? Like Tamako Love Story, when you distill it down, it's exactly that. It's just a love story. But like that gives Yamada so much room to really fill in these specific emotions of her characters, and she's able to portray them in such human ways that I think anybody watching can relate to and can feel deeply. I think that's where she excels best at too. is with tales like this. And that's part of the reason why Liz and Tamako Love Story are my two favorite Yamada works.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm admittedly not as invested in Yamada as a creator as Fate and Jack are. So, you know,
I mean, not many people are, to be honest.
I'm unfortunately not in the 1%, but I can respect the 1% of that level of dedication. To me, I can definitely see a connection between the two, but I kind of view them both in their as, you know, separate works that are, you know, separate strengths and weaknesses, separate.
Yeah, I'd say the same.
Yeah, I could see another scenario in which maybe Mochizou is out of the picture, and maybe if Midori ever confessed to Tamako, I could see that ending up in a similar way to Liz and the Bluebird. So I see they could have different elements, and this is like, maybe if we took this in this other direction. But I do think a lot of the dynamics between Nozomi and, why do I always forget her name? Mizure. I think their dynamic is so much more different than Tamako and Midori's that I view them as like very different relationships and very different dynamics and pretty different series.
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I mean, I feel the same as you. I think Shaka's like, it's tough because I feel so differently about them, like, because I really love Liz so much more than Tamako. And so, like, I guess for me, like, the subject matters a lot to do with it. So I really like the kind of musical backdrop as well. But I think in terms of the relationships, I just feel like, for whatever reason, like, I'm much more connected to the girls in Liz. Because for me, like, they felt definitely like both the protagonists, and I feel like I knew just as much about one as I did about the other, and like I felt connected to both of them in different ways, and I felt like they both had like a lot of depth to them and a lot of development, whereas I just feel like I don't feel the same way about the two cutes in Tamako. Especially with Mark, I just feel like it's so much just about this character Tamako, who's like the most purest girl to ever like walk the earth, and like everyone around her is like in love with her. And just for me, like, that's never going to be like a story that I connect with in the same way as like the girls in Liz. So, but it's tough. So I do feel I have different feelings about them for sure. But then again, like you guys, I'm not looking potentially like picking up on some of the intricacies with the direction, having like not been like such a follower of her stuff. So, you know, I'm sure like you've got like other connections to draw, which is also good stuff.
Comparing the two, I don't know how we didn't mention too that there also happen to be franchise films that are sequels to like, not enormous properties, enormously popular anyway. I mean, and plus, it's interesting how both films also change the aesthetic of the series that they're
that's true.
a sequel to. Liz, obviously, far more drastically. But I think it works, and I think both films ultimately benefit from that change in aesthetic. Tamako is much more subtle, but you get like the designs feel less cutesy and less marshmallowy and a little bit more a little sharper, I think is the word I'm looking for. And I know that's something that Yamada has said that she and the character designer Yukiko Horiguchi said that they wanted to emphasize when making this film, is that they wanted to, maybe mature isn't the right word, but they in getting at that adolescent feel, like they felt like the designs needed to have that polish to them.
I think they even mentioned that they got rid of like Tamako's like super bushy, like cute eyebrows. They're like, no, this is a serious work. She can't have like this super cute eyebrows. Like, that was one of the things they worked on.
Her hair kind of flattens out a little bit too. And it's more detailed.
It feels like the character designs seem like harsher. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but like they seem like softer and more pastel in Tamako Market, but in Tamako Love Story, it's like even when they're like out in the sun and like bright, it's like a harsher light than
Tamako Love Story has way more contrast in its colors.
Yes,
than Market does for sure.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, and it's to me, I was actually really nervous after. So I just been a wreck of nerves. Leading up to Liz, I was really nervous that like, you know, like Koe no Katachi and Tamako Love Story were so good. Like, who the heck has like if you have like 3 really good movies in a row, like you're in rare company.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
Yeah.
I was really, really nervous about that. But then after I watched this, I was like, man, what if I go on the rewatch? And I'm like, man, like you could definitely tell Tamako Love Story was made by someone who was a lot more inexperienced and like start picking up plots. I was like really worried something like that might happen. But no, it still lived up to everything for me. It's just been really fun to watch for me every year. Uh, and, and Jack, as someone who also watches it every Valentine's Day, how have you felt? You like have your feelings for Tamako Love Story changed since the first time you watched it, or?
Mm-hmm. They really haven't. Like, I know I've said in the past too, and I especially said this when I thought of Tamako Love Story as my favorite anime, that it kind of represents everything I come to the medium for. I love its style. I love its aesthetic. Its direction is some of the best I've seen. And even now, like you said, I can go back to you can rewatch Tamako Love Story, and you can see how much Yamada has grown as a director since then in watching Liz. And particularly, I think her experimentation has really shined in her more recent stuff. But you can still kind of see the roots of that here. And I think ultimately the film works both as a companion to the series and on its own 2 feet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really lovely. It's so like it's so much fun for me, even when I'm busy, to do the rewatch, because then I can just sit down and just like watch a comfy show for like 20-25 minutes and just get like lost back into the world. And all the people in the real life market are so friendly and kind. There's like posters and like t-shirts with Tamako Market and Tamako Love Story still. Like when I went this past year, so that would have been 5 years since Tamako Market aired. Like they still had everything. They have like the giant fish in the middle of the road.
Yeah, that's like
great.
the most eye-catching thing that I always remember. And like the bunting and the fish.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have that. They have there's like one shop that has like Midori, Tamako, Kanna, and Shiori in like a small sign like above where they are. Like there, and if you go to all the way to the end, and you're like, if there's a fish market dude who, if he sees you like taking pictures of the place, he'll ask you if you would like Tamako Market, or in Tamako, like he'll ask if you like
that's
Tamako,
awesome.
and if you say yes, he'll like take your picture for you, and he'll go take you on like a little guide, and like he'll show you like Aya Suzuki, who is the voice actress for Tamako, like he'll show you like this whole book they have of when she came to visit the market, and like a logbook where you can write messages to the creators of Tamako Market and Tamako Love Story, which apparently they come to and read every once in a while.
Oh, that's the best.
That's so cute.
It is really sweet to see how much that has meant to them, and they still have like hanging in like the rafters posters for Tamako Market and Tamako Love Story.
Wow.
So it's nice to see, and I think it really does go back to the heart of what Kyoto Animation stands for, and that it is based in Kyoto instead of Tokyo, and wanting to capture that, because Kyoto, even though it is a major technically a major city, it feels so rural and so still trapped in its own, like not trapped, still living in its own time. So yeah, it's really nice to see that the Tamako Market and Tamako Love Story captured the real life market, and the real life market continues to show its love to the two of them as well. Yeah, it's been fun, and I think for me, Tamako Love Story, because and Tamako Market, because it was the first time I like really instant rewatched a show. It was one of the first times I really started like paying attention to like director stuff and notes here and there, and just storytelling quirks. And a large part of that has to do with, and I like, it would not be a proper episode if I did not give a shout out to Ultimate Mega X, who you can find on Twitter, who has so kindly translated the director's notes for each episode.
Oh yeah.
And those can only be found in the our anime rewatch every year. We have a link to them when he posted them there.
Wow, an exclusive.
And an exclusive, exclusive translations found only on our anime.
Yeah, I definitely have Meg X to thank for like a lot of my Yamada fandom, because
Mhm.
all of the translations and stuff that he's done over the years is just incredible, and it was a big inspiration for why I wanted to learn more about her in the first place. Otherwise, I might never have even known.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was because he had so many of her interviews translated at a
Mhm.
time where I think there weren't many interviews translated by like anyone really. I think like the only major thing that I remember that was like by a director who wasn't from Ghibli that was that was translated was Satoshi Kon's like last letter,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
which is great and fantastic and really wonderful. But I was like, there was such a dearth of information about other directors that I was like, man, it's really great that we were able to get something with this.
And to do it completely out of passion for Yamada
Mhm.
and her work
Yeah.
too, take all that time and effort.
Mhm.
Magax is awesome.
Yes.
Yay.
So very thankful for that. Very thankful for Tamako. Have you guys felt that like what? So actually, let's go with this. What was your favorite part of Tamako that we haven't talked about so far? Just to, because there's so much, right, that we can dive into. But Tutu, how about you?
What? No. I mean, we've not talked about like the one thing that like I really don't like about
Ooh,
Yeah.
oh,
That's
we
true.
haven't.
We
We're
haven't.
gonna address the elephant
It's-
in the room.
I feel like
the bird in the room.
I feel like
Bird
the
in the
time's
room.
come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is I just don't really like the subplot with like the islanders and Dera.
Mhm.
And the whole kind of sort of magic supernatural sort of elements, because I feel like because what we talked about before, which is how much we love like the market itself and the kind of setting that is and the atmosphere that has, I feel like when suddenly they sort of it felt like they forced in this kind of plot that was just out of this world, and for me like that kind of detracted a little bit from like the really down to earth kind of
Mhm.
atmosphere that had already
Mhm.
been created. And then I was just kind of like, I don't know, I just like didn't care for that, and it was like just not something that I felt added really anything to the rest of the show at all, like
Mhm.
because it didn't do anything like particular for the characters or for like the story. It just kind of felt like they were trying to add a little bit more interest, and it wasn't really interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
And like I feel this way for most of like Souls that kind of start off quite down to earth and then they add like a supernatural element in, because like Sha knows there's like I hate this in Arya as well.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like stuff like for example like maybe Natsume Yujinto or whatnot, where
Mhm.
like the supernatural element is so like embedded in like the whole identity of the series right from the beginning,
Yeah.
and it's so like closely linked in and with the main characters, like main plot line, and I just wasn't feeling it for Tamako Market at all, really.
Wait,
Yeah,
there's
I know
supernatural
that Dera is like he
Mhm.
for a lot of people, like he's the one thing that breaks the show.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
they just can't get into it because of him, which is a
Mhm.
shame because everything else is so good.
I know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I do not like Dera either, and I don't really find any of it's kind of a one-trick pony to me. Like all the jokes
Yeah.
feel the same, and
Mhm.
none of them
Mhm.
really land, in my opinion. But it does like I don't dislike him to the point where it gets in the way of my enjoyment of everything else about the series. But I also understand if he does for you, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Fate mentioned earlier about how a lot of people are like, yeah, you just have to get through Market to get to Love Story. I think you really just have to get through Dera to get to Love Story.
Yeah.
To be a bit more, like to be more specific on it. I think actually don't mind him as much as most people. I do agree that he doesn't really bring a lot to the show, like
Mhm.
in general, but he didn't really bother me too much. And looking back on it, like I think there's a lot of screenshots of just like Tamako walking with like Dera on her head, and I just find that ridiculously funny to see, just like him chilling on her head as if that's like a normal thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't feel too strongly about him, but I do understand the complaints, and I do think I'm glad he's not in Love Story, because I'm glad they could focus away from that subplot that was resolved at the end of Market.
Mhm.
I think he would have broken Love Story if he was in it. Like
Ooh.
that story needed him out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had to go. Even him at the beginning was a bit pushing it, but then once he like completely was away, I'm like, okay, we're fine.
Well, because part of Love Story too is about Tamako like letting go of some of that childishness and like being
Yeah.
honest with her feelings, and for him to be there, it just tonally wouldn't work at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
For me, it's really. I think I might have Stockholm syndrome at this point because I've rewatched it so many times.
I get
Or-
that. I totally understand.
Because I've seen it so many times. Like, could I watch this so many times if I didn't begin to kind of little bit like Dera? I don't know. I probably would have gone insane. Maybe I have gone insane, and that's why you keep doing this.
I think what saves him slightly is like I don't like him himself, but I kind of like the other characters' reactions to him can be
exactly.
quite good. You know what I mean? Like they treat him like, especially Anko, who's fabulous.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
she's just like, I hate this bird. It's such a pain, and I'm just like, I feel you. I feel.
Yeah.
You.
I like that
Yeah.
because Anko is basically a self-insert.
Yeah, exactly.
is.
Like when the characters act like I act, I can get behind annoying things.
Exactly. So
Right.
I can totally understand someone just vibing with it.
My
It
favorite
makes sense.
Anko self-insert moment is when they're talking about how like Mochizou will help at the shop so that Anko can go to the museum, and like Tamako's like, I wonder why he would do that. And like the grandpa's like, yeah, maybe he just really wants to work with Mochi. And the dad's like, I bet he's trying to steal our family secrets. And each time Anko's like, are you guys high?
Are you kidding? Yeah, just like, are you guys kidding me? I love it.
Like really? And it's funny because like the bird and the elementary school kid are the most, because like Dera isn't like always mature, but he's like the most mature thinking at times, and like
Yeah, I think he's kind of meant to have that wise old bird vibe. I don't know.
He's aware.
Yeah, he because like he helps Shiori when she has problems with her anxiety, which was also a fantastic episode. And I think
we haven't talked about Shiori.
we haven't, and like her, like how she manages to work with her anxiety, and how like realistically like Tamako deals with it. Like it's not like Tamako's like always sure like, oh, this is fine. Like she's like really put off by it and like sad by it, and like apologizes if she's done anything wrong. But instead of like Dera saying it on Shiori's behalf, he's like, no, you have to be the one to say it to her.
Yeah.
And like him being, as I said before, the only person who asks Tamako what she really wants when she has the possibility of being whisked away to the Southern Islands. Dera like always like seems to pop, and with Midori and Mochizou when they're like bickering at the beach, he's like, you guys are fighting, but really I'm just getting the same scent from you guys. You guys, meaning like basically that they're, both of them do love Tamako, and that is at the heart of the issue. Which is why, as you said, Jack, like if he was there in Love Story, it wouldn't make sense, because like the whole point is that Tamako can't have an outside influence help her with this decision. It's something that she needs to come to on her own.
Yeah, I do like that.
But yeah, so I did really like how in Tamako Love Story he wasn't there, though. I will say that.
At the risk of being a little rude by interjecting to a podcast that I wasn't a part of, I want to offer a different perspective on Dera and the Islanders, because while I don't particularly like the character of Dera myself, even if the things that happen to him are kind of funny to be honest, I think he's actually pretty necessary for the themes of Tamako Market, because he's a talking bird with supernatural abilities, and he comes crashing into the market, but everyone just kind of accepts that. They all just live with it, and no one ever questions it. He blends into the market seamlessly, and everyone goes about their day-to-day lives, which matters a lot when the prince comes along and tries to take Tamako away, where she can live an amazing, lavish lifestyle of luxury and never have anything to worry about, and have all the things she could ever want. Well, all she wants to do is make some freaking mochi. And that's the theme of the anime, having a quiet, modest, and humble lifestyle and making the best of it, even when some crazy, wild things happen, and that's why there's such a focus on the setting. That's why it's called Tamako Market. Right? Right? Did I get that right? Well, just throwing that out there. I'll leave now. Toot-a-roo. Well, actually, I'm not leaving because I'm editing this, but you get what I mean.
What did you think about the like Pixar-style short film with him?
I understood what they were going for, and I think Yamada in an interview did say that like growing up with like Disney and Pixar movies, she had always seen like them having the Pixar short in front, so she wanted to do that for one of her films as well.
Oh, that's cute.
That's cute.
That's
I don't
really
even
cute.
like the Pixar ones that much though, so I was
Me
like, I feel like that's kind of. I was like, yo, yeah. I mean, it's cute, but I'm like, yo, no Dera, please. I don't need that.
Don't go Dera.
Don't go full Dera.
Oh man, where you Tamo go, I will not follow.
No.
No. We're never safe.
We're never.
Ugh,
But yeah. So when I do my Tamako love story rewatches, sometimes I don't watch the short at the beginning.
Okay, cool. It's not just me. I thought you guys were gonna be like, wow, why are you so disrespectful to Disney and Yamada and shorts? Like they put so much work into it. And I was gonna be like, feel so bad, but then everyone's like, yeah, fuck that shit.
Well, the Blu-ray too. I'm pretty sure that the Blu-ray doesn't automatically play it beforehand.
It doesn't.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's included as an extra.
That's cool. I
Oh.
respect that. So
They
now
know
time
the
for everyone to buy the Blu-ray because you get the best version of it.
I will also say, Tutu, you mentioned this that
Oh.
there's like the supernatural magical element to it.
yeah.
Apparently, that was going to be even like in stronger, more full force
Mhm.
Oh my
in their
goodness.
early drafts of the show, and then they toned it back. But they kind of liked the idea of it, so they kept. That's why there's a lot of it in the OP with like the hat and the baton and like the
Yes.
magic.
Oh,
Of
okay.
course. That
That's
makes
cute though.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, I really like the music for the show. Like,
Yeah.
not just the OPED, of course, but like
Mhm.
the soundtrack just makes you. It just feels very lived in.
hmm
Yeah.
So
Well, it reflects the show in that way perfectly, right? It
mhm,
gives
Yeah.
off that exact same like warm vibe and atmosphere.
mhm.
It's the perfect music to listen to when you're like trying to get work done on your computer, or, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
studying or anything like that.
I was going through Kyoani's OSTs and I was like, I can't do Koe because it's like too emotional. I can't do Liz because like nothing happens
Too
for so long.
I thought you were gonna say like too emotional for each of them. I can't do this one. Too emotional. Like
I'm just gonna cry in Liz. Yeah, but like Tamako just feels like very, very kind, and I love like the main theme was like da 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 da.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's very like a very chipper poppy one. But then Tamako Love Story also has like the beautiful piano pieces. Like when they have the what's it called, like the fast forward scene after Tamako and Mochizou, like Mochizou's confessed and like they're sitting next to each other in class and they have like that
Oh yeah, the
really
time lapse.
yeah, the time
Yeah.
lapse, there we go. They have that really gorgeous piano track
Mhm.
and it's a lot of fun. It's
And
really nice.
And the cute eye catch. Tamako Markito.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. That was my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh man, that was
I was
so
thinking
fun.
of that like every time we talk about it. It's like that's how I say it in my head.
Tamako Marketo. It's so
Yeah.
cute. Ah,
Again.
I feel like it's really easy for Tamako's music to get overlooked too when you compare it to Yamada's other stuff in K-On, two Ushio films, and then even UFO if you want to throw that in there.
well, yeah, it's up when they have the like the music focus show, and now we got the Mochi focus show.
Yeah, exactly. But you know,
But I mean,
who
it
needs-
fits the show perfectly, so like you
Mhm.
can't ask for more. I feel.
Yeah.
So.
right.
I like the ED is so nice too, and I also love how Yamada like had a bit of a callback to it in Violet Evergarden in the episode she
Yeah.
directed, I think episode 5, where it's like
Yep.
Violet
Oh,
walking
did she?
through
I
the
didn't
flowers.
notice that at all.
Yeah,
The
like
shot of Tamako walking like between flowers, and there's one of Violet too. That's totally a callback.
Oh, that's awesome.
I did not even notice. Very cool.
I noticed that one instantly because Tamako
Nice.
Market's ending is like one of my 5 favorite endings ever.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Amazing.
it
High
so
praise.
much.
Yamada's endings are all so good.
Oh,
He's
I think
ridiculously good
the
at endings.
UFO ending. I actually like UFO's 2 ending more than UFO
Me
1, and I know
too, it's
UFO
so
2
cute.
is Haruka
I do
Fujita.
too.
I
Yeah,
want to say.
Fujita kills it.
Yeah, Fujita's
Yeah.
so good. The Fujita purple just looks really, really nice.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I think Fujita has learned from Yamada, because the Violet Evergarden ending is also spectacular.
Mhm.
My favorite Yamada ending though is K-On! Season 2's second ending. No,
Of
thank
course.
you.
Oh,
no
don't
thank
say
you. You
like-
can't top no
Oh
thank
no,
you.
thank you,
No.
no, thank you, no, thank you. Yes.
Although
Gosh.
the K-On! Movies ending singing is really underrated.
Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
I will
Yeah.
I will stick though with the Tamako love story ending being my favorite
It's
Kyoani ending.
fantastic.
And I think it's in my top 10 endings. Like I think that's my favorite movie ending and like among my favorites. That one is just that is peak for me.
I
They do
love
have a lot of
so
really
good.
good ones. Yeah.
I love the guitar at the beginning, just shredding it and just like, and then the
Yeah.
drums building up, and then it has the riff, the solo,
Yeah.
as like, and like it cuts right as like Mochizou is doing his patented blush into his hand.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
The
that's
way
so
that is cut
Doki-doki.
together, like the editing of that scene with the music and everything is so perfect. With like the cuts to
True.
black and then to their
Yeah.
reactions, with the guitar build up. Man,
God.
so good.
Yeah.
So good. It's so much. Oh my gosh, it's just so much fun. Oh, and Yamada Naoko also wrote the words for Koi no Uta as
Did
well.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's so lovely. I
Mhm.
didn't know that either. Amazing.
She's so OP. I can't keep up, man. She's
I know,
like,
what can't she do? My God.
oh my
I,
god.
like, I don't know how
Not all
she
heroes wear capes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't understand also how because Tamako Love Story was entirely storyboarded by her, and I don't
Mhm.
even know. I can't even imagine how much work that is.
Yeah, wow.
It's we were
She's
comparing
busy.
some of her films earlier. It's interesting that
Mhm.
Tamako Love Story and Liz are both under 90 minutes, where A Silent Voice and the K-On! Movie are both 2-hour films.
Mhm.
And I feel like that is part of the reason that I like Love Story and Liz so much. As much as I love A Silent Voice, especially, it's in like my
Mhm.
top 10.
Mhm.
Of course.
But but those two in particular, like, I just feel like they're paced so well. Like, we get exactly the amount of story that we need.
Yeah.
I think it's really that's really the length and format that Yamada excels at.
Mhm.
And both were completely storyboarded by her too. So
I didn't know Liz was entirely storyboarded by her.
I'm pretty sure about that. Maybe you'd have to.
I wouldn't be
double-check me, though.
surprised.
Yeah,
I mean, because
someone might have to fact check me on that one.
when I bought the Listen to Bluebird Blu-ray from KyoAni, it came with the storyboards, the original storyboards, and it's just very gorgeous. For some of the scenes, it came with the script and some of the storyboards. And I know Yamada, it had like some of the ones done by Yamada, and it's very interesting to see how expressive even the storyboards are for her.
Mm.
So yeah, it's crazy, and yeah, it's Tamako Market, Tamako Love Story, both. To me, I don't know if you guys can tell, but some of my favorites. I'd say, maybe my top 20 anime.
Just
maybe.
to go back just a second, I did look it up, and Yamada did storyboard Liz herself.
Nice.
Oh
Nice.
man.
Wow.
Okay, that's interesting. And then Ishihara to help storyboard K-On! I think.
K-On! Was split 3 ways. Yeah.
Mhm.
There were 4 acts, and I can't remember which 2 Yamada did. I want to say it was the A and D parts.
Yeah. And then I think B and C were each done by someone else.
Yeah, Ishihara did 1, and then what was the third? Was it Takemoto? I can't remember 100% on that.
And then same thing with Koei, which if I remember correctly, she wanted to storyboard all of Koei, but just it was not feasible.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's 40 minutes longer than Love Story or Liz. Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's been a lot of fun to talk about it. In fact, I could talk about this for years, and there's proof.
And you probably
I
plan
can.
to, actually.
Oh my God.
But I think for today, the market has to come to a close. But thank you guys so much for coming on to the podcast. Tutu and Jack especially. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciated that you joined us, and especially Jack. For you, if people want to hear more of your thoughts or follow any content that you do, be it KyoAni related or otherwise, where can they follow you?
They can find me at my YouTube channel Under the Scope, where I make video essays and anime analysis a lot of the time on KyoAni stuff, yes, and Yamada in particular. So if you want more thoughts there. Otherwise, you can also follow me on Twitter at JackUTS, where my name is Kumiko's Euphonium.
I missed the days when it was Kumiko's Euphonium, because that was a top tier.
I was proud of that one. I'll be honest. I was unreasonably happy.
Gotta get into the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I just have one more question for you. So, what is under the scope? Are you the scope? Are you under the scope? Are you under in the scope?
So the reason for that name is really dumb. It's because I was a science major, and there. That's it.
Cool.
It
I
is
always
supposed
thought
to
it was-
refer to a literal microscope. Yeah, my degree is in biochemistry. So.
Oh, nice.
No way.
I thought it was like you looking under the scope of shows.
Same. I assumed that too.
Well, yeah, like it's that's
Yeah.
kind of like what it's supposed to mean, but then there's also
Makes
like
sense.
that little bit
Oh.
of like personal background in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
That's fun
cool.
trivia we got now.
The
Nice.
fun facts, yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Exclusive facts to the R Anime
Oh my
podcast.
The
We got
origin.
exclusive. And
Origin
Tutu,
story.
Yeah.
the origin story, the unreleased origin stories of Jack UTS into the Jack UTS verse.
Yeah.
Let's run it back from the top one last time. And Tutu, if people want to reach out to you and talk with you more about, how great Makoto is,
Oh,
No.
for free.
You can find her at my Twitter. You can direct all of them Makoto Love at my Twitter. Thank you.
Exactly.
Tama, whoa.
Hey, I love that.
Tutu
Oh.
does have good taste in free boys, though. We will
Do I?
hopefully be able to discuss this in a future date.
Yeah, I
Yes.
have many things to say about that.
Oh man, and just a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. To the people who were part of the Valentine's Day rewatch, thank you so much for everyone who participated. I made sure to put everyone's entries. What I did was every time someone had commented in an episode thread, sorry, for every episode thread they commented in, they got 1 point, and then I assigned like each of their names a number, and then just had like it was like over 100, 200 something entries, and then put it in randomly. Did it, and Barnacle Man is the winner of our Sentai Tamako Market and Tamako Blue Love Story Blu-rays.
Wow.
But
Yay,
we have
congrats.
two more.
Oh.
We have 2 more pairs to give away thanks to our friends at Sentai Filmworks. So
This is so hype.
I know it's so much fun. It's really, we are really thankful that they were able to give them to us. It's I can vouch for them because I have them myself. But yeah, so all you have to do is follow the R Anime Podcast on Twitter at Tokyo Podfathers, retweet the link that this is in, and just give a comment below about whatever you feel about Tamako Market, Tamako Love Story, Sentai, or I guess anime in general. Whatever floats your boat. And we will randomly choose 2 winners from that giveaway as well. So keep posted on that. And thank you so much for listening. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Simplecast, pretty much wherever, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts, there we are also. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And until next time, just remember, everybody loves somebody. Thank you so much, and see ya.